video. If you're on TikTok at all, I've only recently joined it, so I still feel like too old for it. But if you have been on TikTok, then you may have seen that there is a trend going around of like collector's check, where people take whatever collection they have and like name off like their most expensive item, their favourite item, their strangest item, their smallest item, all sorts of things. And there has been a Disney pin version of it created. So I have done TikToks for this and a book one as well, but I thought I'd sit down and do an actual video, just so A, I can include more questions, and B, I can elaborate a little bit more on the pins rather than, you know, just like a 60-second video. So I've got them all written down here, and I'm going to cut to the pins because some of them are on pin boards and they're really difficult to get on and off, so that way you can get nice close-up photo videos of them. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So the first pin is your first pin. Now there is a couple of pins that I would class as my first pin, but I chose this as my like ultimate, you know, my memory goes as far back as to remembering this pin sort of thing. I was pretty young when I started pin collecting. I was maybe like 7 or 8, but this distinctively is the pin I remember like carrying around, and it is a Belle Compact. It's part of a series, and for whatever reason this was the pin that I bought at the time. I don't remember how I ended up getting the pin, but I assumed it was just, you know, for sale at the time at pin trading station at Downtown Disney, as it was called back then. And actually my first proper pin, it broke, so I only have the bottom half of it with the picture of Belle, as opposed to the top part which has the glittery castle on the outside and the mirror. I have got the actual like complete one as well now, so I will show you both, but that half a piece of Belle is probably my first pin, and even though it's broken, it's got like sentimental reason to me. I mean, for no one else would want it anyway because it is broken, but for me it's the first pin. So the next question is really hard, and that is your favourite pin or your favourite collection. So overall, my favourite collection has to be hands down my Carousel of Progress collection. It is the one that is taking the longest time to probably build up because A, there's so very few pins of them, but B, they're really rare and can be pretty pricey to find and buy. So yes, I'd say overall my Carousel of Progress collection. In particular, my favourite pin would have to be the Piece of Disney History pin. Basically they have a little bubble in them, and in that pin specifically it has some of the bird feathers from the parrot in one of the scenes. So that is probably one of my all-time favourite pins, not only because it's my favourite attraction, but also because it's got a really unique story to how I acquired it. And it also links to one of the later questions, which is your best bargain or your cheapest pin that you bought. So this Carousel of Progress pin is also probably my bargain. I don't think I paid any more than like £10 for it, and the story was it was on eBay, and me and my dad sort of recognised the area of which the person was from and selling from. They actually lived not far from my grandparents, and my dad actually messaged them and was like, you know, we're in the area, we could actually come and pick it up. We'd love to see what other pins you have for sale. Apparently his son was getting out of pin trading, and so he was selling off his collection. So I got that pin, and I think I got like the Teacups Wait Time pin, and possibly the Alice in Wonderland Wait Time pin. I think I've since let those go, but yes, so that was just a really cool thing. And like I said, it's a bargain because you can't buy it for any less than like $40–50 at the moment. It's one of the easier Carousel of Progress pins I think to find, aside from like the hidden Mickeys. So yes, that's my favourite pin, but also my best find and my best bargain really. The next question is the newest pin. So I've had quite a few pins delivered lately, but I decided to show you this one. This is the Sci-Fi Diner pin. Now there is, I think, only like 2 official Sci-Fi Diner pins, and this one is really cool. It's got Mickey and Minnie in the car, and Goofy is taking their drinks, and it is a slider pin as well. It's only limited edition of 2,500, and it's part of a Hidden Disney series. But when I did see this, I think it might have been, I think someone was selling it on Facebook. I had to like jump at the chance to get it because it is my favourite restaurant and I just love the theme of the Sci-Fi Diner. So the next one is your best traded pin. For me, I've made so many trades that it's really hard to remember what I traded what for. So I thought of what's the favourite pin or the best traded pin I found off a pin board at the parks, or like with a cast member. And for me, that was the Carousel of Progress Hidden Mickey pin from this year. As you know, Carousel of Progress is my favourite, and when I saw it when we were staying at the Caribbean Beach Resort back in January, I was like, I need that pin, and that was my favourite. So it's not like I found like a really expensive pin on a board or something, but for me, finding a genuine, authentic hidden Mickey of my favourite attraction was really special, and that I would say is my best trade. The next question is your most expensive pin that you've bought. Now, if you know pin trading at all, you know that they can go for silly prices and they can go really high. And at the end of the day, it's all about demand and what people are willing to pay for a pin. So for me, I think the most I've paid, and I've probably paid this for a couple of pins over the years, the most I've paid is probably around $100, which sounds a lot to some people, but it can be on the like lower expensive end of things compared to some. I mean, you can get some that go for $300-400. Like some of the WDI profiles go for silly money. Like you get certain characters that really their pins explode. So for me, I've picked out the Piece of Disney Movie Steamboat Willie pin. Now the pin I'm showing you is not the one that I've spent the most on. That one is actually still in the basically it got shipped to a friend in the States and they're gonna post it to me, just so we can like combine on shipping and do a trade. But yes, so I'm showing you, it's a slightly different scene, but essentially it's the same pin. If you know Piece of Disney Movie pins, they have a little film cell from the movie, and certain scenes can be more sought after than others, certain films can be more sought after. Steamboat Willie has quite a big following because it is like the original Mickey Mouse at the end of the day, and so this pin, this specific scene was pretty expensive and it was around the $100 mark. But I also like to get pins like when I see them at a good value as well. So for me, my most expensive pins have been around $100, but they can go for even more than that, which is crazy. The next pin is a pin that has the most value now. So I probably bought this pin very close to when it came out, and that was for the Aristocats 45th anniversary, I want to say, or the 40th. It's on the pin anyway. It's one of the ones that I'm not going to take off the pin board. But I believe it was from I think it was a WDI pin, and it's a really gorgeous pin, and I probably paid close to around £40-50. I'd say maybe like £40 for that pin, and it wasn't long after it just come out, so it had already inflated because I couldn't buy it at cost price, and people resell them on, but now it is selling for around like $200, which is staggering. So I have no intention of getting rid of it at the moment, but it's interesting to know that that is the value that that pin has. And with any of my pins and any of your pins, the inflation and the prices can go up and down all the time. For example, Splash Mountain, obviously it had a following, but when they announced that they were rebranding it to The Princess and the Frog, any of the what's it, the Song of the South, like any of like the original design as it sort of currently is at the moment, like the prices just went skyrocketed because people knew obviously you wouldn't be able to get them anymore. So pin people most likely are to have. Again, this is a hard one, but I did settle on my Club 33 pin. I have been lucky enough to go to Club 33. I went when I was 10 with some family friends, and I didn't get this pin at the time, but I did manage to buy it later on, because I don't think I was into pin trading at the time, but obviously I didn't know that there was a pin for that and that I should have got a pin for there. So yeah, I think this is probably one people are least likely to have because it is so elusive and exclusive to get into Club 33. The next one is your favourite princess pin. So one of my favourite princesses is Ariel. She's sort of tied with Pocahontas, but you know, there's that whole debate of whether she is a princess or not. But so I chose Ariel, and my favourite pin of Ariel is probably this Tokyo Disneyland pin. It's really unique because it's an outfit that I don't think I've ever seen her in a film wear. She's in this really like gorgeous purple and like pearlescent outfit. There's like some glitter to it, and overall it's just a beautifully stunning pin, and that was like one of my grails to find. So that's probably my favourite princess pin. A pin from your favourite film. So one of my favourite Disney films is Mary Poppins, and I love my Mary Poppins collection and I'm slowly trying to expand it. But I have a lot of Mary Poppins pins that are my absolute favourite, but I decided to choose the recent anniversary pin. I believe it was a cast exclusive from last year, and it shows a silhouette of Mary and Bert and the children up on the rooftops, and for me that rooftop scene and Step in Time is one of my favourite parts of the film, so that is why I chose that as being a pin from one of my favourite films. My least favourite pin would have to be this Tree of Life pin. It's a hard one to pick because obviously if you don't like a pin there's no point in keeping it, but I would have to pick this one because it is overall a fairly basic pin. It's really tiny, so it's very cute, and it is part of the 4-park series, so I have one for each park, so I feel you have to keep all 4 pins, but it's not necessarily, if I saw it on a trading board or I saw it individually, it's not one I would buy because Animal Kingdom is probably my least favourite park. Don't hate me on that. Okay. The next favourite is a pin of your favourite character, and I chose this Miko pin. I actually chose a fantasy pin, but there are some really gorgeous Miko pins out there and I am always on the hunt for Miko pins, but I decided to choose this one because I liked his position and the colours of it and like the little aspects of like the little compass. So that is, Miko is overall my favourite character, and that is the pin I chose. The next is your most detailed pin, and that again is a hard one to sort of look at and think, well, what do you class as detailed? Is that a really big, massive pin on pin, or something that's like maybe really small and intricate? Overall, I decided to pick this Ariel pin. I believe it was it's either a WDI, Disney Studio Store Hollywood, or a DC, but I think it's probably a WDI pin or a Studio Store Hollywood. Basically, it's Ariel at Christmas time. She's in a beautiful pink dress. There is a lovely Christmas tree, and it's like decorated with all these little shells, and then she's got these like Tiffany blue boxes at the bottom of the tree, and it's one of those Christmas pins that I just display all year round because it's so beautiful. The next is your favourite series or your favourite set. So for me, I have a really gorgeous set of castle pins. I actually have 2, so I will show you both. They're all in the same frame anyway, with the first 2 in the Shop Disney castle series. But so the ones that look like posters are WDI exclusive pins. They were all released 1 year for an anniversary of Disneyland, I believe. And then the other set is the compact series set, like I said, with the bell pin. They just have really gorgeous glittery fronts of each of their castles, and they also have Tinkerbell, which is the only one which I think is unusual to have in the set, because at the end of the day it's not a castle, it is a lantern. But anyway, and then obviously you've got the princess inside and the compact, but just the outside to display is stunning. So those are my favourite series, and like I said, it's very rare that I collect a whole series of something, usually because there are so many different characters and they don't necessarily fit. The other series that I did have all of and I really liked and I'm tempted to try and like collect again is the like the little Russian doll set or the nesting doll set. It's a mystery pack that you can get, but they have all the different princesses. The next pin is your spookiest pin, and at first I was like, well, there's no point including this. I have like no spooky pins, no haunted mansion, no Halloween pins. And then I remembered I have one ghostly pin, and that is another piece of Disney movie pin, and it is of the Lonesome Ghosts, like old Mickey Mouse short. Again, it's got a little cell feature in it, and it's got Mickey being chased by a ghost, so that would have to be my spookiest pin. The next pin is a interactive pin. I have a couple like movable pins, but the one I chose is probably one of the most interactives, and it is this 60th anniversary pin of Disneyland, and you've got these like two little fireworks and clouds, and they sort of move. I'll show you obviously in the little clip, but that would have to be one of the most interactive. Obviously there are some pins that play music, there are some that light up. You could say that the piece of Disney movies are quite interactive because you can hold them up and see the picture. So there's some really great interactive pins, but I also know some people don't like interactive pins or things with like dangles and all that sort of thing. And then the last pin is your rarest pin. And again, this was a difficult one for me to narrow down because they do class it as rarest, as in like oldest, hard to find, or do you class it as a low LE? So for me, I went with a low LE, and again, I didn't really look at any of the ones, a lot of the ones in my pin board, so I sort of had to kind of guess and pick a couple out. So I may have something that is lower than these, but these are just the ones that I picked out that are of a low LE. So I picked out two LE 300s. So we have this Jessica Rabbit pin, which is from the Studio Store Hollywood. I'm not quite sure what year it came out of, but yes, that's an LE 300. And then this one, which was from the Generation D pin trading event at Epcot back in 2015. This was part of like a 4-pin like TV set, I think, and yeah, this is again LE 300. And then I did find one LE 250, and I know I have more of these, but this is the one that I was able to easily pick off my pin board. And this is a Ariel Christmas pin from the Disney Employee Center, and like I said, it's an edition of 250, and again, it's a pin that is a Christmas pin, but I keep it out all year round. So that is my TikTok inspired Disney pin tag. I hope you enjoyed seeing this video. If you want to comment on any of the categories in this list, let me know. So like, tell me your rarest LE or like your favorite traded pin. I'd love to know. And yeah, if I can remember, I'll link my TikTok down below, but do not expect magic from it because I ain't that clever at things like that. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more Disney inspired videos, and I will see you soon. Bye guys!